Hello everyone, Greg here again. I got this project I want to make. I made a similar box some time ago. Move this stuff around, maybe you can kind of see a little better. This is the top. So inside here, got a little area. And then below this area is a drawer area. I'll take this out. So down in here, I got the drawer. Let's slide this out too. And then there's another bottom. Just grab this element here. There we go. Pull this out. This it's running a little slow because I got the screen recording going on. Try to move this over here. This is the face of the drawer. So this goes back over here on that. It's not right, but so there's the opening. There's the carcass, I guess you'd say. Lid, the drawer, the upper partition. That's really, about it. But the hard thing is trying to cut all this with those legs here. That's what makes it, difficult. And that's actually what makes the box look pretty attractive to me. Also, if you look at the shape, you can kind of look at the side here, how it, dishes in and then rolls back up. And maybe show you here too. The back side does the same. But this drawer face, I want to try to cut out of front piece of the cabinet, front piece of the jewelry box. I'm going to use an 1/8 inch bit, and that's going to create too big a gap. So I'll have to add some material back on, probably onto the drawer, make that look a little better. And I think what I can do is just add a piece, wrap the exterior all the way around, and that'll take care of that. So that will get profiled first, 3D profiled on the CNC before the drawer is cut from the piece. Okay, so here I have the box back together. You can see the drawer front. That's what I was talking about cutting out. So what I want to do is export this 3D model. Before, when I first did it, I was slicing the model up so that I could get a front face, a back face, a left and a right face, so that I could use those faces to put in another program, Aspire, and use the CNC to cut those faces out. So what I found out is really I can just export the whole model into Aspire and just choose the faces that I want to work with. So I'll go over to Aspire here and you'll see what I mean. Start a new project. This is the size I wanted, 16 by 6 by 1 inch thick. I want my XY in the middle. Everything else looks good. So I created this as my canvas. I'll go to model, component, 3D model. And this is my model I exported from 3ds Max. Wherever you export your model from, whatever program, just make sure you remember where you put it. So it's easy to find even if it's your desktop. That's my model, so I'll open that up. But we're pulling in the model, and here we go. So here's the model, and here's my canvas way over here. Let's hit center. Over. Now this is the back face. I want the front face, and it's upside down. So if we flip it, it should be good. Yep, just hit bottom. Okay, now it's sticking up too high. We need just an inch above this plane. So if we go down here, it says depth below top. We want to change this to 1 inch. Hit enter. That's exactly what we want it to do. We want to get rid of everything else below. So make sure that discard data below zero plane is checked. And click OK. So bring it over so that we can set up some toolpaths. So we'll go to the 2D view, just click on the model once. I'm in the modeling tab, and if you go up to create vector boundary around selected components, click that. And that creates a couple of vectors for you around it. See, now they're highlighted. We want to go back to the drawing tab and ungroup these. click off and click back on, because we want to change this rectangular one here. I'm going to zoom in to this left side. I'm going to hit Node Edit. You'll see what I'm doing in a second. I want to cut vector. And then I want to cut the vector on the other side. Depending on your model, you might not have to do this. It might come in different. But I have to alter this so that when we go to cut the drawer front out, we have a rectangle and not this U-shaped piece. Okay, go back to the selection tool, select the part that I want to get rid of, hit delete on the keyboard, go to the bind tool, that locks on, so just click, come over here, and before I click, I want to make sure that A equals 0.0 so that I know there's no angle. It's nice and straight across. Click, and then right click to exit that. And now we have to group this, so let's hold shift and click. That way we grabbed both of those vectors. And then this little icon here, join open vectors, says we have two selected open ones and we want to join them. And it says after joining we have one closed. That's exactly what we want. So that's good, that's done. Now, let's open up our toolpath, hit our little tack over here to hold that open. Let's go to the finishing toolpath. Let's select this outside vector. Okay, now thickness, 1 inch, that's right. The datum, XY, it's in the middle. Yep, that's right where we want it. Material surface we want to work off of. Yes, I want to drag this down so that any excess material, say my the wood I plane is 1 inch 1/16. I want to get rid of any extra off the top. I don't want it stuck on the bottom. Okay, and then these all look good. The clearance planes for cutting, that's good. Click OK. Now we got we're using the selected vectors as our boundary for the toolpath to cut. Otherwise, the machine would, if you select material boundary, machine's gonna come all the way out and cut all of the material away. So that's a lot of extra machining that you don't need to do. Model boundary, it will be pretty close to what I have for selected vectors. It just drop all the way down to the bottom. We don't need it to do that. So selected vectors, it'll shorten it up a little bit. And then raster we want 0 degrees. If it wasn't left to right cutting, if it was up and down, we could change that by putting in 90 here. We're going to call it 3D finish front. Get rid of it. And click calculate. And that's a short toolpath. Click play. You can see that just cut out. So really that's it. Okay. And it cuts out. And that's what the sides should look like. And then once these all get cut out, I'm going to wind up using one of these surfaces, this surface here or this surface here, to set on the miter saw so that we can cut 45-degree miters on these ends to put all 4 pieces together. That's about it. So I was trying to decide which species to use. I have some ash, hard maple, sapele, which is pretty much mahogany, nearly the same thing, and white oak. That's what's down here too, even though it has a little reddish tint to it. The oak, I'm afraid, is going to be too porous. Same thing with the ash. The grain has a little bit too much porosity, and that wouldn't be a problem if I wasn't doing the high detail in the legs at the corners of the jewelry box. So I think these two are out. Hard maple would be good. I think I have enough of it, but I'd have to glue pieces together. Same with this sapele, but the hard maple tends to have more of a wild grain. So between the two, this grain pattern is much tighter and easier to disguise when you glue pieces together. So I'm leaning this way. Also, this has a real rich color, especially if it's stained darker. Now the other thing is the size. When I started looking at 16 inches by 11 inches, that'd be 27. That's too big, you know. So I'm going to scale that down. 16 inches was the long side. I think I'm going to scale that down a good 25% and make 12 inches. 12 inches will be the length across the front, and that'll put the sides somewhere around just under 8.5, 9 inches, I would think. I'll let the software do the work on that. Just scale it down until I get the front at around 12 and see what that puts my sides at. Also, that's going to scale down the thickness, which will work better for the material I have. Like, this is already at 13/16, and I have enough of this, I think, glued up. It's a little bit of extra work gluing everything up and then truing the stock, planing it back down, but I think this is going to give a good result. Okay, so I have a lot of pieces that I milled up before for a project that I didn't do. Actually, I changed my mind and did it a different way. But these were mortise and tenons for a framework. I think they are going to be for a set of medicine cabinets. So I have those pieces. But yeah, we got over 15 inches. And then I have to lose a little bit here. I should be able to get all my sides out of this, and front, back, and two sides out of this. These pieces here will probably turn into maybe the upper and lower partition, a couple of those, and maybe the drawer stock. And then I have little thicker pieces here. Just need joining on the edges. But these all came out of the same board. So I think once all jointed up, this would make a nice lid. And it's over 10.5 by 18, so that's more than big enough for that lid. So this will get glued up. This will get glued up. So we got the front, back, two sides, top. This, I don't know if I'm going to glue this up yet. Maybe. So I have to thin this down for the partitions. They're only about 1/4 inch thick. So it probably wasn't clear, but I labeled these A, B, C for my seams, and I labeled them also in, out, in, out, in, out. And that's in against the fence, out away from the fence on the joiner, in, out against, or in against, out against, yeah, out. So that they cancel. If I'm not perfectly 90 degrees, they cancel each other out. And by doing that, you get some really nice seams. Kind of hard to see those seams now, and it really, once that's glued together and sanded, it's pretty much going to look like one piece. So I can go ahead and glue this one up now. This is going to be the top, so we definitely want this to look nice. Nice tight seam. I usually set this up, figure I push the release, wind it in a few threads. That gives me some slack. Got some glue on this one. Yep. So I try to avoid that. There we go. In a couple threads. That's already in quite a few threads. Good. And then back it out. That just kind of presets my clamps where I want them, so they're not all over the place. And I use this wax paper. It's cheap, and I use this to keep the glue off the clamp, and also keep the clamp from touching the wood, because if I leave this clamped up without wiping it down like I did on the last one, it'll stain the lumber, and it'll stain it black, and it's sometimes hard to get it come out. Okay, so while those are drying up, I'm going to set up the CNC. This is my sacrificial base plate, I guess you'd say. Need to clamp that down. I need to clamp this parallel so I can use, well, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'll run a cut in it, and that'll, I'll run the CNC across here, put a cut in it, and that'll be my line to line up my pieces. Another project I need to do. These clamps have a slot in it, and that slot is, you know, quite small, not very long. The clamps that I made have a nice long slot in it, so they give me a lot of adjustability. So I'd like to do the same to these without weakening them. Just continue the slot, you know, back quite a ways. And I think that'll be great, because see, I had to flip this one around. It won't reach that way. Whereas this one has a lot of adjustability. and they were pretty cheap. Scrap lumber, and they're actually toilet bolts with a nut. The nut is epoxied inside here. It's actually a lock nut to keep it from being sloppy. And then just after using them a few times, that nylon in there loosens up. You can put a little lubricant on there, WD-42. But now they're not sloppy and they spin really good. In fact, I think I'm going to change this side too. The nice thing about the wood ones, if you happen to run into it with your CNC, it doesn't destroy your bit. And I suppose if you ran into the threaded part or the nut in here, then, you know, that's going to ruin your bit. If you've gone that far, it's probably time to quit for the day. Okay, so let's see where we're at. I think I'm pretty straight. It's 4 9/16 heavy. I'm going off of this white edge right here. Yeah, 4 9/16 heavy. It's about 19-30 seconds. That's plenty close enough. So now I want to just run a groove across here. It's just going to be a line, a mark for me. So I have to fire up the computer so that I can use Mach 3 to do that. Can't see any seams here, and the grain all looks like it Flows real well. This is our top. Both sides look great. Set that one to the side. Now, this is going to be our face, back, and sides. This will probably be the inside. I think these will look pretty good. Maybe make this one the back. Make this one a side. I rescaled these, but I want to get as much as I can out of it. I have those 1.5 inches. I have to lose 1.5 inches off of here because of those mortises. So I'm going to cut those off first. Loosen that up. Let's release this. There's a piece of maple in here with 45, 40, 35, different degrees, and here I got 0. So I put this in here, pinch that tight, and then snug her up, both a little at a time, and it should get me pretty close to square. Just keep that right there. Okay. Start about there. Check that for square real quick just to be sure. It really doesn't matter much. Main concern is that this edge is straight. Yeah, that looks really square. That's good. So now let's go 5 and I'm gonna go 5 and 3/4. Was 7/8, but I'm going to go 3/4, just slightly heavy. Okay. Yeah, thought I felt an area with a void. This might just have to be a side, which is fine. I think I wanted this as a side anyway. This one's nice. This one's real nice too. Say this is probably my front and back, and these are my sides. This is scrap. While I have the sliding table, I might as well square this at least. I'll square both edges. That's a nice piece there, real nice. Yeah, it's going to make a beautiful top. I cut a piece here, piece of maple to use as a, I guess, a register, so that when I put these in here, I can register it again against that, and after I glue it, just pop that out of the way. That way it'll line me up every time, and then I just it doesn't matter left to right, as long as I center it, roughly center it, it's going to be fine. They're oversized. That's good.